Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. This is Roxana from Eutopian Lettings. Today I want to discuss with you some of my first experiences as a property manager. So I started a rent-to-rent business and I took on a property, and I want to tell you what the first issues I had with a tenant and how I dealt with them. Some of them I've made some mistakes, of course, because this was my first property, and on some of them I've learned a lesson. On the other ones I did the right thing. So I want to share with you what I've learned from this experience, and maybe one day you're going to have the same issues and you're going to know how to do it right because I didn't, or because I did, and I'm sharing that with you now. Okay, so my first problem was when I had this DSS tenant, and I accepted him the property without a deposit and without all the necessary documents. And I want to explain to you because I don't want you to go through the same thing. I'm not saying that you should not accept DSS. You have to be open to it, because this falls under discrimination. If you write in a post, for example, if you write in an ad that you don't accept DSS, that is discrimination, and it's illegal for you to write that, and you can get in trouble. The only thing you have to pay attention to is that you get everything in place, everything that a regular tenant would have. So let me explain to you what my mistakes were as a first-time property manager and what I would do differently now. I would still accept DSS, but only if they have all the right documents. So there was this guy who wanted to move in the property, and he had contacted me 1 month prior to him moving, and he was waiting for the council to approve his universal credit and all of that. So after they've approved it, he called me, and I was feeling sorry for him. So I was open to take into consideration that he's a DSS, but say, okay, it doesn't matter, and I'm going to work with whatever he can offer me. And he gave me the number to his caseworker, and I spoke to his caseworker, and she said that they would pay the first month in advance, and after that, the first month, she said that the council would transfer the money to the tenant in the first month, and he would pay the first month like that in full. And after that, every month after that, I would get paid by the council in my account. That's what she said. And then she said that he would be able to get a deposit very quickly, as long as I give him an agreement and I let him move in the property as soon as possible. And of course, I thought, look, this is a caseworker from the council. She's not going to lie or anything like that, so I should trust her. And I did. So I let this guy move in. And 1 month later, he still didn't have a deposit. He kept asking me to provide different agreements, to change the date and so on. Eventually, he also asked me to provide an agreement where it says that he received the deposit, and I refused to do that. And when I refused to provide him some more paperwork, because every month he was asking me more and more stuff. Every single day he was calling me, saying that he needs a letter for this, he needs a letter for that, he needs an agreement, and it was getting exhausting because at the time I had quite a few tenants, and I didn't have to provide every week for each one of them so much paperwork on top of all the maintenance and management and all of that I needed to do for the property to work fine. So I said, look, you don't need to give me a deposit anymore, as long as you pay it from your own pocket when you can afford it. And that was a big mistake. But even before we got to that point, here's what happened. The first payment I got from him was not the payment for the full month. It was a payment for 2 weeks. So the person from the council lied about that, because she said that he was going to pay me for the full month. And that's what I had in mind. I thought, if he's going to move in now and he's going to pay me for the full month, then he's going to pay the rent again in 2 weeks, then I still have the other 2 weeks to keep as a deposit until he can get a deposit. So I thought, I'm covered. Even though it's not a full month of deposit, I still have something. And after he moved in the property, he only paid half of the first month. And what happened after that was that the next payment, I was supposed to get it in my account from the council, and I didn't. I didn't get the payment from the council. I got it from him. And there were a few reasons why. One was that, the council actually didn't pay for all of his rent, only for part of it. So I think there was a difference of like £50 between the actual rent of the property and the amount that the council was paying him. So he paid me for the full amount, but I never got money back. I never got the money in my account from the council, and that was the problem, because once the tenant stops paying, then if the tenant moves out or something happens, you at least you have the certainty that the council is going to pay for it until all the documents are in order. But it wasn't like that. So this guy actually got upset because I didn't want to provide him any more paperwork, and he moved out of the property. He didn't even tell me until the day when his rent was due. And not only he moved out of the property, he also took a few things with him. He left the room in a mess. He took a mirror with him. And yeah, that was my first experience with a tenant that was not very well behaved. And it was part because of that conversation with the council. So I was so sorry that I couldn't find a recording to show the council what I was promised and what I got in return. It was someone from the Hillingdon Council, but I don't remember her name. It was also difficult to get to file a complaint if you don't remember the name of the person you spoke to. And anyway, I mean, I didn't remember her first name, but I got a letter from the council after a while, because I filed a complaint, and I got a letter from the council after a while saying that they can't do anything about it. So yeah, that was that. So be careful with DSS tenants. You should only allow them to move in once they have paid the amount in full, the first month in full, and have a deposit. Do not accept them without a deposit. And if it's possible, get everything in writing that you're going to be getting paid by the council in your account, because this shouldn't happen to anyone, especially after they promised on the phone that everything was going to be fine and I can trust these tenants. And yeah, that was it with the caseworker. Okay, the next issue I had was of fixing things that I shouldn't. So one night, one of the tenants texted me, because we have this WhatsApp group and everything, and they can get a hold of me. I was thinking it's better for emergencies, so he texted me that his bed broke while he was sleeping. And this bed was 3 weeks old, because it was new, and I bought it myself, and I had it installed in the property 3 weeks prior to his moving, so I'm pretty sure it didn't break while he was sleeping. I don't know what he did, but I went there and I fixed the bed. And then I got a refund from the company who provided me the bed. But, so I did get the money back and I didn't have to buy another one. But then I looked back at my agreement as a novice property manager, and I realized that actually breaking a bed after 3 weeks doesn't fall under wear and tear, and the tenant is responsible for everything he has in his room, and he has to give it back just the way he received it. So 2 weeks later, another tenant said that his bed broke, so I did show him the part of the contract that stated that whatever they received when they moved in, they have under inventory and so on. So they have to take care of those things. And it's not my responsibility to fix it. I am responsible for fixing things in the communal area in an HMO, but not in a room. not if the bed was new and everything was fine when they moved in. So yeah, that was that. So that's how you deal with the furniture breaking, all of that. If it's under wear and tear, if the carpet was really old, or the wardrobe was extremely old, or anything like that, or the bed, it happened, but not after 3 weeks. So yeah. Okay, next. Yeah, the next thing was, I was always asking tenants as soon as they moved in if there's anything they needed at all, like, because when you move in an HMO, you have to know which one is your drawer, which one is your fridge door, which one is the place where you put your storage, and all of that. It's not as simple as in a normal property where you can put anything you want everywhere you want. So sometimes they would ask, how does this work? How does that work? Now, I used to get messages late at night about, how does the washing machine work? Why is my Xbox not connecting to Wi-Fi, or something like that? And yeah, the best thing to do with those is do not reply. Reply after 2 or 3 days, stating that if they have an issue, they can report it or something like that. But if you answer at 10 or at 9, these issues are going to keep coming back, and they're always going to text you about silly things. So yeah, my tenants have a WhatsApp group where they can help each other, they can send each other pictures, reminders, anything. They keep rotas and everything like that. But I do not encourage them to text me about silly things like that. Okay. Another thing that I had an issue with was, I received a video at 12 one night, midnight. I received a video about water leaking from the roof. Now, that is not something you can really ignore. I tried to call the insurance company. They didn't reply. I was on the phone waiting in line for a few good minutes, and they didn't reply. So I called them the next day, and they sent someone. Unfortunately, from my experience, the insurance companies are really bad with this, and they try to get out of anything that needs to be fixing. And they try to explain how it's not their responsibility because it falls under different things that you're not paying for, even though you have full insurance. But anyway, that was one of the things that that I had during the night, and I had to sort it out after that. Even after the company sent someone to have a look at the roof, I had to chase it a lot. It's really difficult to get them to open a case and follow it through without you chasing them every step of the way, because they try to get out of things, and they are counting on the fact that you're lazy or you're busy and you don't have time to call them every day to check on the progress of this. So yeah, some companies are really bad with that, and I do understand that it's not in their interest to pay for stuff. So they like to be chased, but I'm still looking for an insurance company that doesn't do that. Yeah, so that was my experience. There was one more thing. There was a small thing. One of the tenants said one day, he texted me, of course, again, that the light ran out in his room and he doesn't have a bulb anymore. And I said, that is your responsibility. Can you just go and buy one? And he said, yeah, sure, of course. And 1 or 2 days later, I get a message from another tenant saying that the light is not working in the kitchen. And guess why the light wasn't working in the kitchen? Obviously, I knew this tenant who moved recently in, who was a bit of a headache. He took the light from the kitchen and put it back in his room. So what I did next was, in the following month, when he was due the rent, after he admitted that he took the light, I invoiced him for the light as well. So in his rent, I've also included the price of a light, and then I replaced it myself. But yeah, if you don't keep on top of these things, they're going to keep happening, especially in an HMO, where it's quite different from a regular property, where you shouldn't have to deal with things that are this small. Another issue I had with the tenants right when they all moved in the property was the trash. They didn't know who should be taking the trash. So they ended up having this garden, and because they had a garden, they had space for storage. So they were storing all the trash bags there. until I went there one day to have a look at the property and do a viewing, and I saw how many trash bags there were. So I had to come up with a rota. And I was thinking, okay, I fixed up, I've done the rota, now all is sorted, and don't have to worry about anything anymore. Actually, they also needed chasing, so every single week I had to look and see whose turn is it to take the trash? Are they taking it or not? And also I had to encourage the other tenants to remind them to keep track of whose turn it was to take the trash out, and to remind that person, because it's it's quite tricky to have to remember these things every week. It's like, yeah, that's the thing with millennials and with the Generation X. They're like babies. You have to treat them like babies. Always have to look after what they're doing. You have to micromanage them in an HMO. In a regular property, hopefully people are more responsible, and things are different. Okay, so yeah, those were my stories so far. If I have any more, I will make sure to make another video. If you liked this video, please leave a comment with your experience as a property manager and with the crazy things you had to go through. And because I'm sure you all have a lot of funny stories if you have tried to manage a property, especially an HMO. And if you still haven't managed to figure out how to manage an HMO, I'm more than happy to share it with you in my online course. I will leave the link in the description below, and everything else you need is going to be in the description below. But please feel free to start a conversation with me, ask me a question, write a story about your experience. I would love to read that. And thank you for staying until the end of the video, and have an amazing day. Bye!